What's up, guys? Paul from the Sysadmin channel, bringing you the best tips and tools for your sysadmin journey. In this video, we're going to continue the series for building a web application using PowerShell and PHP. So if you remember in our last video, we just finished installing SQL and getting a basic setup where we can run PHP code. Now we're going to be building the framework for our website. What this means is we're basically setting up a header, a basic header, a body, and a footer that will lay down the foundation for easier integration for future web apps. Let's get started. If you recall, we set up everything in the WebTool folder under the E drive. So let's go ahead and open up that index.php file to kick things off. Actually, before we write any code, I'm going to create the basic folders we're going to be using. This includes our CSS folder, the image folder, our new hire folder where we are going to house all our code for our project, and finally our PowerShell folder where we'll house all our PowerShell code inside a module for easier management. All right, back to our PHP code. So I'm going to bring these lines down just a little bit, and we're going to start off by using the HTML5 shortcut code. This will give us our basic HTML5 template. This is pretty much our starting point here. So if you're using VS Code, you can use HTML:5, and it'll give you this template as well. All right, first things first, we're going to set up the title as WebTool Automation, and really quick, we're going to enlarge this so you guys can see it just a little bit better. All right, we're going to start this by opening up 3 link tags. These are going to be used for our style sheets and our favicon. The first one is going to be our style.css, which is going to be under our CSS folder. So we'll go ahead and point to that absolute path there. We'll go ahead and copy that, and then in the second line, we're going to name it style custom.css. And this is going to be some custom. I'm grabbing these style sheets from my website with very little modification, so you guys can grab it there too. And I'll also post this all online. All right, and finally, we're going to open up our last link tag, which is going to be for our favicon, and that's already pretty much preset for us. All right, next up, we're going to be opening up our header tags, and that's actually going to be within the body tag. So we'll go ahead and use that abbreviation there for header. And for our ID, we're going to be naming it masthead. For our class, we're going to be calling that site-header. And the role is going to be banner. And after that, we're going to be opening up 2 more div classes where we're going to be putting our logo in there. And that'll give it just a little bit of style so it can make it look a little bit more prettier. And those classes are going to be ClearFix Container, and the second one is going to be site branding. So with that now set up, it's time to set up a link so our logo points to our homepage. To do that, we're going to be opening up our A tags. So we'll use that shortcut. Under the href, we'll go ahead and put a / so it points to the root of the directory. For the title, we're going to name it the Sysadmin channel. And within the 2 A tags, we're going to be putting an image source that is going to be pointing to our image logo. What this will do is it'll populate an image, and when we click on that image, it'll point it back to our homepage. And finally, we'll set up the alt tag to say the Sysadmin channel. All right, and once that is done, we're going to be setting up our navigation links so we can easily move between applications from any page within our web app. So to do that, we're going to open up nav links. So we'll go ahead and use that nav abbreviation. And for our ID, we're going to name it main navigation. For our class, we're going to give it main-navigation as well. And for the role, we're going to give it navigation. And directly underneath that nav ID, we're going to be opening up 2 href tags. What this will do is give you the ability to use an application on mobile. So it'll give you the nav links within a mobile device. And it might not be needed for everybody, but it's good just to have there just in case. Just in case you're on the go and you need to create something really quick, we'll go ahead and add that in there. It's better to have it than not. All right, so once we have that implemented like so, the next thing we're going to do is open up our div tags to create the space for our actual navigation links. And we're going to start off by opening up a div class to containerize the CSS that we'll be adding later. Next up, we'll open up an unordered list so we can neatly configure what's needed within our CSS file. All right, so once that is done, we'll move on to our list items. And that is going to be the actual items where we can click on for our applications. All right, now going back to our unordered list, we're going to go ahead and populate the class names for this item. And for our first list item, we're going to give it an ID of menu item 10. We're going to give it a class of menu item. For our href, we're going to point it to the root of the directory. And within the A tags, we're going to put home because that's what we want it to display on the web page. All right, so we'll go ahead and copy this and then we'll go ahead and paste it right underneath that. And then here we're going to change the ID to menu item 12. We're going to leave the class name, but we are going to change the href link to /new hire /. And then within our A tags, we're going to have it display new hire. And just one thing to keep in mind too, anytime you want to add an application to this web page, all you would need to do is basically copy and paste what we have here and just rinse and repeat. In my opinion, it's pretty straightforward, but I'll let you be the judge of that. All right, and once we have that done, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to close off our PHP tag and then launch this in a browser to see what we got so far. So let's go ahead and do that now. As you can see, when we launch webtool.thesysadminchannel.com, the page opens up just fine, but we haven't actually added our CSS files. So if we go ahead and zoom in just a little bit so you can see, I'm going to click on, for example, home, and it'll take me to the home page. If we click on new hire, it will actually fail because we haven't added the index.php file there, but the links do work. The only problem is that our CSS files haven't been added yet. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. So a simple refresh should do the trick since I added the files behind the scenes. Now we can see that everything looks all pretty again as it should. However, when we click on the new hire link, it errors out. So let's go ahead and create that index.php for that new hire directory. So with Windows Explorer open, it's as simple as right-clicking and creating a new text document and then renaming that text document to index.php. So now when we click on our new hire link, it no longer errors out and it displays a blank page. So this means that it is working as expected. The only problem is that this template only applies to this specific page. So if you make any change to the header, you'll have to manually replicate that change across all other files, and this is not ideal. So in order to fix that, we'll copy all of this header code and put it in its own header.php file. And then we'll call this file from every other page that we use. That way, if we make a change to the header, for example, if we create a web application and add the links in the navigation bar, we'll only need to add it to this one place, which is ideal. So I am going to cut this code and create a header.php file in the same directory as the index.php file within our root directory. And while I'm at it, I'm going to create my footer.php file in the same directory as well. This way, we now have a single header file and a single footer file that we can call from every page that we need. I still have the code for the header in my clipboard, so I'm going to paste that in my header.php file and then do the same for the code in the footer. As it stands right now, the code for the footer is only 2 lines deep, so let's go ahead and migrate that to its new home. One thing I forgot is to add a class for our body in our header.php file. This will containerize the contents of our index.php file, so we'll add that like so. We'll also add a break in our code to give us some spacing between the header and the body. And since we opened up a div tag in our header, we'll need to close it off in our footer. So we'll go ahead and do that like so. So with that now out of the way, the next thing we're going to do is now back in our index.php file, we'll go ahead and include our header.php file under our opening PHP tag. We want to make sure we close it off with a semicolon. And then right under that, we'll go ahead and include our footer.php file under our PHP function. And we'll also make sure that we close it off with a semicolon. Also, since this page only has PHP code running, we don't need to add the closing PHP tag. So we'll go ahead and remove that. All right, so if we go back to our browser and refresh the page, we shouldn't see any difference in the layout. Everything on the front end should be exactly the same, even though we made changes on the back end. One more thing we need to fix is to include the header and footer files within our new hire page. As of right now, it's an empty page, so let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to copy this short snippet here, and within Windows Explorer, I'm going to open up our index.php file within our new hire directory. So with that now open, I'm going to paste the code, and instead of calling our PHP function, our PHP info function, I'm going to insert a comment that says new hire code goes here. So once that is set, we'll go ahead and save it and refresh the page here in Chrome. Since we're using relative paths in our include file, we'll need to add 2 dots along with a / to go up one directory, because right now we're sitting in the new hire directory. So we'll go ahead and add that like so. And then if we refresh the page, now it should work as expected. So we'll go ahead and click on all the links, and now you can see that our header file is added correctly and everything is working as expected. So stay tuned, because in our next video, we're going to be writing the PHP code for our new hire web app. All right, guys, this is Paul with the Sysadmin channel, signing out.